Question: who will claim victory for the Battle of KwaZulu-Natal?
Elections 360 starts right now.
A very good evening to you, South Africa, and those watching around the world. My name is Blaine Herman, and this is Elections 360. We are live from Tongaat in KwaZulu-Natal, a province that is both politically as well as economically significant. Hey, Sakina.
A proper battleground province, this is, Blaine. And of course, we saw 3 of the 5 big parties. And when we say big parties, we mean those who garnered the most electoral support in the last general election. And 3 of them brought their manifesto launches here to KwaZulu-Natal, kicked off with the EFF,
right,
followed by the ANC, and then, of course, the IFP. They also had their launch here in KwaZulu-Natal. But we're going to get into all of those nitty-gritties and
shortly
why this province is so significant. But of course, we also sent some of our producers out just to engage the general public, to find out from them what their views are and what they, of course, deem to be important.
Yeah, it's a big issue. We're going to get to that insert in a short while. We've got a packed crowd here today, so we brought in reinforcements, so to speak. On the floor with us is Bongiwe Zwane, trying to help us out to get as many questions in as possible. Hey, Bongs.
A very good evening to you, Blaine and Sakina. Sinbingelele nonke emakhaya. Igama lami ngingubongiwe umakhumalo wakwaZwane, and welcome to the second edition of Elections 360. And we are live for you at the Hambanathi Hall in Tongaat. It promises to be a riveting night, and signing for us tonight is Mpho Teme. And of course, as we said, we're waiting to hear the views and the questions of all the people seated behind me. But Blaine, of course, there's a lot more still to come.
Yeah, the gang's all here, looking forward to a robust discussion as well. Look, we must thank as well eThekwini Municipality for the venue as well as a variety of services, so much appreciated. So, before we get to the discussions, as you mentioned, Sakina, let's tee it up for the viewers and the audience here. Moses Mabhida Stadium, as you've mentioned, a hive of activity and sharp focus over the past couple of months. Why? Because 3 big political parties decided to hold their manifestos, and you were there.
Indeed. And let's take a look now. Cleopatra Jones hit the streets of the province, some of the areas that she could touch. And let's have a look at what the general public had to say about the issues here in KwaZulu-Natal.
My name is Untokozo Hlongwane. I was born and raised in the KZN. The prevailing question is why political parties are interested in KZN. They are launching manifestos like KZN. Moses Mabhida. Now we'll find answers from general public, our community members. We'll find from our community leaders. We'll find answers also from political analysts, abantu abama-expert kulo mkhakha wezepolitiki. But okwamanje asike siqale lana kulo mphakathi wala siku-Quarry Road to find out ukuthi uthini umphakathi ngalolu daba lolu. Silana ke sizofind out kubahlali balana ukuthi bona how do they feel ngalama elections azayo, bawa-attendile lama manifestos akhona, iziphi idingo zabo as umphakathi njengoba si-approach ama-elections. Let's find out nina njengomphakathi wala yabo niyibona kanjani khona nje ongawazi ukuthi achaze.
Mina nje la Quarry Road nje ndikhala ngayo kakhulu. Ngama-floods ngo-2021 asikaze sithole nje usizo kunanamhlanje, futhi sisazohamba nama-floods kungoku ngoba sisesemanzini, asikaze sisuswe kwathina. Hleze sithenje siba siyahamba asikaze siye ndawo. Ziyafika inhlangano ngenhlangano, inhlangano isikibeke yayo imbiko nenye ifike ibeke yayo, basithembisa bajike bashiye kanjalo baphinde babuye.
Njengobahlala la ku-Quarry Road asisebenzi, asifumani matoho, siyahlala nje. Maybe mangafika enye inhlangano okanye ngayishintsha impilo yethu, kodwa nje angiboni.
Mina nje okungihlupha kakhulu nje into yokuthi nje sanje lwazizendlu sangalitholi koncedo. sisahleli salindile esingayazi noba silindile eyanini. Asitholi izindlu, sisahlele eca kwamanzi. Makunetha nje sishala uvalo sihlale eminyango nempahla singazi bazoshonaphi. Masingancedwa nje ukuthi sisuswe lana siyobekwa endaweni eright asothola khona indawo apha soke sihlale khona siphumule njengabantu la singazobona mvula khona. Naku nomlambo sihlasele namakhaza siyagodola sihleli nabantwana. Bazothola nje indawo njengoba sakhe sisuswe la singavuya kakhulu. Nemisebenzi asiyitholi ukuthi wasibadala sino 40 akaba solahlwa phela thina sino 40 ngoba nathi sayifuna imisebenzi iyasihlupha kakhulu ono 40 that's for futhi ngoba phela asihleli kanje.
Siyazibona inhlangano bebane befika bonke emabhida besithembisa bese sitshela konke ukuthi ngeke sivote sisanda kushelwa kunabafowethu abangazange bayithola imaterial iziza sihleli asinamwantu siyazama uba sibambisane nabo siqoqa lawo maplanga sihlanganise nabo ukuze nabo baphile bakwazi ukuhlala kodwa ke mabewazile ukuthi basinxuse baze ukuthi bazenzele isidingo sizoyevoteni singabanga ukuyevotweni ama-toilet ethu akalungiswa akaklinwa abolile nje lenoboleyo
abafowethu abaningi sebesishiyile ngenxa yama-toilet engekho ngoba abantu kuye kuvuke ekuseni njengoba kungukusenza i-toilet elilodwa bevuke ekuseni bafike bamulayini abanye bajahile bafuna emsebenzini abese bejomba umgwaqo M19 abejomba uvuke kuthiwe nangushaya emoto.
To say UKZN, a University of KwaZulu-Natal, a Howard College. So we are here to find out Gubantu who are Abama analysts in the field of political science.
I think where there is a carcass, the vultures or what do I mean? There is a general feeling that KZN is up for the take. That's what's going on. One, I think they have seen the KZN, the decline of the ANC in KZN, and I think that's why they believe KZN is up for the take.
There's quite a lot at stake here economically, don't forget. We've got the harbours, we've got a lot of minerals in the area.
But I mean the economic hub is Johannesburg, is City. How dare Mary, if that were the case, I'm not debating it. I just think the population, they think this is the most volatile, most unstable electorate, and therefore one will be able to capitalize on that.
No doubt a vibrant audience here at the Hambanathi Resource Center in KwaZulu-Natal. Full-throated song, no doubt they want to get their take, ask the people that are gathered in front of me their questions, burning questions. So let me introduce our panel tonight from the ANC. Let's start with the ANC. On my extreme left is Bheki Mtolo. From the IFP, we have Tami Ntuli. The DA's Christopher Papas joins us. So does the EFF's Mungezi Twala. And from the MK party, Kwazi Mbanjwa wraps up the group of 5. So no doubt, gentlemen, that this province is important. Why? Over 5 million registered voters, right? We're talking about a population of about 20% of the South African population, 12 million, over 12 million. And they have concerns, they have needs, they have wants. And I guess to a large extent, they will be looking to people, parties like yourself, as well as others, for solutions, to try and help them in their daily struggles. So we'll get to that in a short while, but I want to allow you to make your opening statements. We're short of time, so you'll just have 60 seconds to make your opening statements, and I will have to obviously interject if you do go over. So let's keep it short and sharp, and let's start with you, Mr. Mtolo.
No, thanks. Good evening to viewers and everybody in KwaZulu-Natal and leaders of political parties that are here. No, I think to us as the ANC, these elections represent two fundamental aspects. The first aspect is for us to account of what we have done in the past 30 years to change South Africa from what it was to what it is today. And another second aspect, it's about presenting a concrete plan for the next 5 years on how we should move forward from the job we have done, which is visible to all communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. All right. Not using the full time, but I guess we'll get to the full discussions in a short while. Mr. Ntuli, over to you. Your 60-second start now.
Well, thank you. Good evening to yourself and to the viewers and the leaders who are here and the audience. Well, as the IFP, for the opportunity on the 29th of May, we will be taking that opportunity to govern this province of KwaZulu-Natal so that we fix the mess that has been created in this province. And we are quite aware that everyone has lost hope because of poor government, and will be providing a quality government in governance in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and will be also inspiring hope to the future of our younger children, that when they grow, they will know that they will have the government that will be able to assist them to realize their better tomorrow.
All right, Mr. Ntuli, thank you very much indeed for your opening remarks. Let's head over to Mr. Papas. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Thank you very much, and good evening to colleagues and to the viewers at home. I think we can all agree that things aren't working in our country and in our province. And ngesizulu uthi into mayingakusebenzeli uyayishintsha. If something's not working for you, you change it. Now we have serious problems around crime, around employment, around our economy, around electricity, around water in particular in this province. And we're not going to fix those problems with the same people sitting around the same table making the same decisions. So we have an opportunity on the 29th of May as South Africans, as the residents of KwaZulu-Natal, to compare the plans and the vision of different political parties, and more importantly, to compare the track record of different political parties in government and make an important choice of what the next 5 years is going to look like. So as the DA, we're excited. We're the only political party that you can compare when you talk about provincial government, and we have a good track record where we are in government. So I'm excited for this election. I'm excited, as Mr. Ntuli says, there's hope around the corner, and 29th of May is when we usher in a new future. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Papas. All right, let's hand it over to Mr. Twala.
No, thank you. Greetings to you and to the viewers at home. Today marks 2024. It marks 30 years since the first inclusive elections in South Africa. Our people still remain landless and joblessness. We've been sold a pipe dream by the governing party. We are here to deliver on the commitments that the EFF will usher in to the people of South Africa who are hopeless. We know the plight and pain of our people who are wandering around, who've been neglected by this government over the past 30 years. We are here to table the concrete plans and the commitments to the people of South Africa, and to restore hope and dignity to those who their land was stolen by the settlers in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for your opening remarks. Let's move swiftly on to Mr. Mbanjwa. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Good evening to the viewers at home. As the MK party, we are here to make sure that the whole mess up that has been done by the previous governments is being sorted out. We were not in the government, but we are going to be in the government, definitely. And we want to fix every mess that has been done by all the other governments that have been here in the example. So basically, we want to make sure that the unemployed are employed. So we'll make sure that we create the industries in the rural areas so that we promote the back migration, because we've got a lot of mjondolos around here because people don't have jobs. So that's what we want to eliminate. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Mbajwa, thank you very much indeed. We have lots to discuss. We're going to test those leaders that are up on this stage, also take your questions right here in Tongaat in KwaZulu-Natal. Quick break, more next. We're live from the Hambanathi Resource Center here in Tongaat in KwaZulu-Natal. Full-throated songs once again as the vibrant audience here that have gathered are eager to engage the panel that is sitting on the stage. So let's get to it. Look, I would argue, and maybe I'll throw the first question to you, Mr. Ntolo. I would argue that whatever happens, I guess elections are important, no doubt. But what happens in between elections is important, right? Okay, if we can ask the crowd to just be quiet for a bit so that the panel can hear the questions. I think we're having a bit of an issue with regard to the panel hearing the questions. We're going to come back to you now on the floor in a short while. Let's get to you, Mr. Mtolo. The ANC is the governing party of this province. Before we get to the umbrella issue of service delivery, etc., I want to talk about political dynamics. Who do you see amongst your panel here as the biggest threat for you to hold on to power?
No, thanks. They know, as I know, that none of them are biggest threat to the ANC. They are so small. They are so small. Let me give you empirical evidence. The IFP, which is the biggest amongst all of them here, in 2019, it got only 18%. And overall in the country, it got 488,000 votes. Then, from then, it has not grown significantly. Then others are non-starters. They are non-starters, to be honest. But even all of them combined, they know, as I know, that they are non-starters when it comes to the African Nation.
Mr. Ntuli, do you want to respond to that? I was looking at your results from 2019. The IFP actually had around 16%, over 588,000 votes back in 2019. Your response to Mr. Mtolo?
Well, I'm not quite sure whether this is a winter dream, because in fact, history has taught everyone that we are on an upward, significant trajectory. In 2019, we became the second largest, and in 2021, we won more municipalities back to the IFP. Now, as we speak, put a by-election, you'll see who people will choose when they vote, including the historically strongest ANC wards. People are voting for the IFP everywhere, even in the far south. You go to Mzwabantu, Ward 11, you go to the central of Durban, Ward 99, you go to Newcastle, 4 wards from the ANC people voting for the IFP. And I think that is our hope, that the people of KwaZulu-Natal see the IFP as a solution, not just because now they don't know where to go. But we have governed this province, and we have invested a lot, more than 6,000 classrooms that we built in this province, colleges of education, a specific university, Mangosu University of Technology, the infrastructure that we were able, in fact, to provide the people of KwaZulu-Natal, which led from them to get even the job opportunities. People were not as unemployed as they are today in this ANC government. I think that's the reason why people now are choosing the IFP.
When you hear, Mr. Mbajwa, Mr. Mtolo say that there are people here who are non-starters. Does that resonate with you? Do you take offense?
No, not at all. I think he knows what he's saying. It's wrong. That's number one. You see, before the birth of the MK party, people were relaxed. They were doing everything the way they wanted to. But since it was born, because what is happening, you can see immediately, even you can test with our visits out in all the sites that we have been. They can see that the MK party is here and is here to win, and we are going to win. We are coming with the new dimension because the parties that have been there have failed. That is why the economy is on the downstream. So they have failed us as the communities of South Africa. So we are here as the we are here as the MK party. We are here as the MK party because we want to correct. In fact, almost all these parties next to me, they try to do something and then they all fail. So that is why MK party is here, is to correct and make sure that the economy of this country is going in an upstream, not in a downstream.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mbanjo. I'm going to get Mr. Twala and Mr. Papas in a short while. I have to go down to Sakina. Questions from the audience, Sakina?
Indeed, Blaine. And of course, you were talking about why this is a battleground province, because after Gauteng, the most votes are to be had here in KwaZulu-Natal. So for anyone who's looking to lead this country, they need to have a good showing in Gauteng and a good showing in KwaZulu-Natal. And I think the parties have indicated why they are so strong here in terms of just working the ground in all parts of the province. But of course, also just taking a look at the audience, some questions. If there are any questions, anyone, the audience seems to be a bit bashful this evening, but there's a question here. Let's start. You'll just tell us your name and your question, please.
Thanks very much. My name is Jeff Pullen. My question is about load shedding. It's something that's really affecting our country. For the last decade, we've had load shedding, and it's just stopped before the elections, which is a bit suspicious. So we must be burning tons and tons of diesel, and this must be costing the country a fortune. Many business people contact me as a councillor and saying they can't survive. Their businesses have to close. It's especially affecting the tourism sector, and we can't carry on with this nyaga nyaga in our country. eThekwini is a tourism city, and my question to Chris Pappas is, what will the DA do to fix this? Thank you.
Right, let's throw it to Bongi on your side.
All right, thank you very much, Sakina. And let's try and get as many questions as we possibly can, but we'll just start with the gentleman here.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Mafiga. My question is directed to Mr. Mdolo. Mr. Mdolo, the IEC stats indicates that there are 5 areas where 65% of the voters of KwaZulu-Natal are found. That is Durban, Pietermaritzburg, Herigwala, Lower South Coast, and generally in those areas, with the evidence of Ward 9 by-election, where you have took a ward from DA, which last time they've won with a slightly 9%. This time around, when you took it with more than 5,000. In those strong areas, you are on the up trajectory. Does this indicate that the ANC will increase to 58%? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Sakina.
Right, let's take one more and get some answers from the panel on top there. Your name, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Siabongam from DUT. My question is that what is the impact of instability on economic development and investment in the province? And my other question is that in the possibility of collision within the province of KZN, how will the allocation of resources be implemented?
Who's that question for?
I think it's all for all the honorable members.
All right, Blaine?
All right, thank you very much indeed, Sakina. Let's go to Mr. Papas first with regards to the issue of energy and the insecurity issues that South Africa currently faces. Your solutions?
Thank you. I think it is important, though, that I address Mr. Mtolo's continuous amnesia in this province. He seems to be very confused for a party that couldn't even put 30 people to come together at this particular event. It's very brave of him to say that he's going to win. But let me answer the question. So we know that the problems of load shedding started under the ANC government, and they're not going to solve it. In fact, it got worse under Mr. Zuma, who sent all our money with the Guptas overseas. But we have a solution to solve the electricity crisis. And that is to bring on board more independent power producers to our grid, to let go of some of the generation capacity at Eskom, because it is not working. It is costing us billions and billions of rand to keep it going, and to bring on board independent power producers, to deregulate the energy sector, to allow a greater blend of energy to be produced, to get our industries working, to get tourists back, because the hotels will have electricity, etc. The other thing that we need to do is that we need to ensure that this blend of power that we're going to supply to our grid, we allow municipalities, we allow lower levels of government to more easily buy, more easily wield through the network. At the moment, the regulations around the electricity network are so hard to navigate that it is impossible for sufficiently capacitated governments to be able to produce their own electricity, wheel it through the Eskom network, and supply municipalities like eThekwini and others. Right. So let's introduce independent power producers, a mixed blend of energy to our system, and make sure that we have regular updates of our integrated resource plan. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Twala, I think one of the questions that the student asked kind of blends into that with regards to the concerns of economic instability and more investment. What is the Economic Freedom Fighters' proposals with regards to getting this economy going again?
No, thank you very much. One thing that I want to clarify first before I get into that question is that it's just suicidal for ANC to believe in its own propaganda. I mean, ANC at some point, it was enjoying 60% of the voter population and support in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. But in 2019, the ANC only got 52% in this province. And we're working to ensure that we liquidate the ANC come the 29th of May, because it has really dejected and also neglected our people in eThekwini in particular. Our people are living in dire and deplorable conditions. There are over 600 informal settlements in eThekwini under the government of the ANC, which at some point enjoyed 2/3 majority. We don't have land today because of the ANC. Our youth is languishing in poverty, they're living in squalor, they're hopeless because of the ANC.
But what are your solutions? What is the EFF solutions, though?
Expropriation of land without compensation is the solution. 80% of the population here in South Africa is only occupying 10% of the land. And 10% of the population is occupying the majority of the land. Land is everything. The resources, the natural resources of this country are leaving this country and are not benefiting the people of this country and this province in particular. There are mines here in KZN. Why don't we create a state-owned mine so that we control the quality of coal that gets to be supplied to Eskom? We are having the issue of this economy that is plunging because there is no reliable power supply. No one will come and then invest in a province where you are not guaranteed of a power supply.
Yeah.
Now we're saying, as the EFF, let us take control of the minerals of this country. 50% of them, they must benefit South Africa. And also, we must also be able to create employment to the young ones,
right,
the youth. This threshold also of the age of 35,
right,
it's not really working. Any person that qualifies and has skills must be employed, and we must do away with cadre deployment and party loyalists.
We're going to talk more about this.
Members.
I need to take a quick break. Our question we're asking you, who will claim victory for the battle, some would say for the soul of KwaZulu-Natal. You've heard what the panel has to say. We're going to hear more from our live audience after the break. Stay with us. We're live from Tongaat in KwaZulu-Natal. You're watching Elections 360. It's hotting up in more ways than one in KwaZulu-Natal. Always a place to give you that warmth, but also fire as well. And we want to better understand the political dynamics, the political state of play through your questions and my panel's answers. So let's get straight to the floor where Sakina Kamwendo as well as Bongiwe Zwane are standing by. First to you, Sakina.
Well, thanks so much, Blaine. And of course, again, the importance of this province, given that there's a 16% contribution to the country's economy, I think that cannot be underplayed. And then we also look at KwaZulu-Natal being home to the Durban and Richards Bay ports, and together those two handle almost 60% of South Africa's cargo tonnage. So that's quite a lot, and it's quite significant, and we've seen the sort of impact that it had when that wasn't working properly. As far as unemployment, some of the speakers touched on that, about 1 million people, and of course it depends on whether you're looking at the narrow or the expanded definition thereof, but according to Stats SA, as of the third quarter of 2023, that is more or less where the unemployment stats sit for the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So it's massive. It's something that needs to be addressed. Okay, let's get back to those questions. Short, sharp, to the point, your name, who your question is for, and let's go.
Okay, thank you very much. My first question is directed to Mr. Mtolo. Uthi nje sicela achazele umphakathi ngale program le ka KZN Wildlife le okunqamulo bhejani impondo ukuthi where are these horns going, where are they going to store them, what is the intention of this program exactly, and then omunye umbuzo still to uMtolo ukuthi bathini yini edala ukuthi ama artisans ande ehlala amaqoqo emadropeni enga employer ndawo, whereas sinendawo sinama industrial zones njoba sila uTongaat nje it's an industrial zone njoba na ku Richards Bay kanjalo. Yini edala ukuthi sifikela khona sinama artisans angasebenzi. Ogcina umbuzo is directed to Chris Papas ukuthi what is the plan of EDA end Mjondolo?
Okay. Right, let's throw that back to the panel. Chris Papas there with the informal settlements and what's happening there. And of course to Mr. Mtolo, the unemployment question as it pertains to artisans and why they are not more broadly employed, so to speak, not just in the big areas. And of course also the first question, that first question was around the dehorning of rhinos. Ezemvelo, KZN Wildlife Trust, what's happening with those rhino horns?
Let's go to you first, Mr. Mtolo.
No, thanks. I think for the first question, by the way, was from Mr. Mafiga, asking me why we think we're going to win KwaZulu-Natal because 65% of the voting population of the 5.7 million is reside in the what you call Midlands municipalities and the South, and 1.9 million of that resides in eThekwini. I think it's evident. I think those who don't want to do research and work with numbers, they get illusioned because it's clear that all these parties, even where Mr. Mtulu was saying they are winning by-elections, let's go on the north. On the north, we have taken a word from the IFP at the heart of the north. Even when they defend their award, they defeat us with 200 votes or plus. When we defeat them in our strongholds, it's 90%, it's 5,000 different, it's 3,000 different, it's 7,000 different. Then IFP in the province is a non-starter when it comes to numerous numbers. Now, let's go to the program of dehoning of the rhinos. The program of dehoning of rhinos is because we want to conserve rhinos. Because the poaching of rhinos is not about the rhino itself. It's only the target is the horn. And it's what the government did a consultation amongst all South Africans. And they agreed that the best solution to save a rhino is to dehorn them, so that because the poachers are not interested to the rhino as a whole, they're interested only into the horn.
The question, I think, Mr. Mtolo, if you will, is what are you doing with the horns? No, don't rephrase the question. The question was that the question was that why are we dehorning rhinos and what do we do with the horns? What do we do with the horns? It was a two-pronged question. Then don't rephrase the question. Don't rephrase the question. Then what has happened is that the department, after the Department of the Wildlife and Environmental Affairs and all other agencies in the country, in Kruger National Park and others, once they dehorn the horn get conserved in a place where it is safe. Then the unemployed artisans, you would understand that what has happened when Comrade Brett Zimande came in as a Minister of Higher Education and Training. One thing he emphasized is that not all of us who must go to universities. We must go to technical colleges in the form of TVET colleges, and we build a lot of artisans. Then what has happened now is that those artisans, some of them, they don't have practical experience, few of them. But what has happened, because we have supplied a lot of them, is what we normally say as the ANC, we are the victim of our own successes. Because there were no accidents in the country, we are producing a lot of artisans.
All right.
Then, one thing, we see, when I'm closing, let me just appeal. Sometimes when it's elections, we even give people tasks that they can't even perform. You see, the issue of load shedding and electricity generation is far bigger than Mr. Papas. Mr. Papas. Mr. Papas has a capital budget in Umgeni, because Mr. Papas, his exposure is only at Umgeni. His capital budget in Umgeni now, 2023-2024, is 93 million. As of end of February, in terms of his own Section 71 report, FMMA Section 71 report, Mr. Papas has only spent 26%, 24 million of that. He can't spend 93 million. Why do you want to bother him with billions?
Let's get a response from Mr. Papas. And also, Chris, just also tackle the issue, the question about informal settlements, housing, big issue in KwaZulu-Natal. To you, sir.
Thank you very much for the question. Again, one has to respond to really, that doesn't make sense, Mr. Mtolo. You know, you come here, the only victims is not your success. The victims are sitting here. The people who haven't got water, who haven't got houses, who are, those are the real victims. You know, you're not victims of your success. But thank you for the very important question. So here's a number of things. In this area of Tongaat, there's been a project that's been going for 6 years and only 11 houses have been built. So what we have to do, and what we will do as the Democratic Alliance-led provincial government, is that we'll unblock these housing projects that exist all over the province and keep getting funded, but houses are never built. The second thing that we have to do is make sure that there's infrastructure. We're talking about Mkungundlovu there where I'm a mayor. There are 3,500 houses that cannot be built because the ANC-led Mkungundlovu district municipality cannot invest in water and sanitation infrastructure, and it's the same across the province. The next thing is to release public land. There is so much public land available, owned by the Department of Public Works and a variety of government departments, in areas that are close to work opportunities. A government who was serious about giving back the land would have released that land a long time ago, but we know that they don't want to do that. The last thing is that we need to look at a public-private partnership type approach to create different types of housing, whether it is rentals, whether it is rent to own. We have to create different options. Abantu barenta ngo 8, 9, 10, 1,100 rand nje barenta ngawo. So people can afford to pay, but there are just no housing opportunities close to work. And then the last thing is that we have many, many buildings right here in eThekwini that are empty. They've been hijacked and they are empty. Let's convert those to public housing so that we can decrease the number of imjondol ekhona la nesifundazweni.
Mr. Papas, thank you very much indeed. Let me hand it over to Bongiwe with more questions from the live audience.
Thank you very much, Blaine. Ngokhulunywa ngokuntuleka kwemisebenzi isifundazwe siyakhala futhi kanye nokuthi abanye abantu abasha abasebenzi ngobuningi babo kwakhiwa kwezindlu abantu basakulindele. Butwami uthini umbuzo wakho?
Ngumncedisi Maphisa ubheke kubabuntuli sicela ukubuza kumphemba ukuthi what are his plans to address issues facing young people in this province, particularly ukusideline kuma business opportunities ukungabikho kwamathuba emisebenzi. The second question ithi Mphemba, what are your plans in addressing i-crisis esibhekene nayo abantu bakwaZulu-Natal kuyimanje la eThekwini abanawo amanzi kwezinye indawo? You have a good track record in service delivery. What are your plans as an incoming premier?
Blaine, part of the question, of course, looks at the issue of water. You think about some of the areas here that do not have water, and they want to know to the IFP, what is the plan to address that particular issue, to also address some of the jobs issues? It's back to you.
All right, Mr. Ntuli, water, when we were coming here, I mean, asking people, what's the big issue? Everybody mentions water, although it is handled at a municipal stage. Provincial and national have oversight. If the municipality is not working, provincial can take over and provide the services. What is being done?
Well, I think this question is directed to the right person. The only district municipality that got clean audit is King Cetshwayo, where I'm a mayor. I know how to provide clean governance. Number two, on the issue of water. On the issue of water, since I arrived in King Cetshwayo, I've fixed so many mess, so many problems of the people who were not having access to clean water. Today, they have access to clean running water. And then as the provincial government, what will be the approach is what we are doing currently on the other KFS, Salga chairperson, wherein we are working closer with a local government to ensure that we give capacity, we capacitate the actual officials who are supposed to do the work, and making a serious call of a professionalization and depolitization of a local government, because I think the fundamental problem is that cadre deployment that took place has caused the municipalities not to have the skills and the expertise which is also necessary. So therefore it's important that for the provincial government will be working to capacitate those officials to ensure that on an additional grants will identify where is necessary and ensure that we fund municipalities with an additional grant so that they will be able to deliver and even assist municipalities to be able to spend the money that is allocated to them so that they address the issues of water.
All right, Mr. Ntuli, thank you very much indeed. We have to take a quick break. I'm going to take more of your questions live from Tongaat. More after the break. Stay with us. A vibrant audience, no doubt. We're live from Tongaat in KwaZulu-Natal Elections 360. We're fast running out of time for our SABC2 viewers who will say goodbye to us at around 8 o'clock. But we do carry on SABC News Channel for an extra half an hour. So I'm going to throw it now to the floor to Sakina and Bongiwe. Sakina, to you first, and then the panel can then wrap up with their answers. Sakina?
Thanks, Blaine. And again, just a reminder to our audience, short, sharp, to the point. Let's keep it crisp. Tell us your name, who you're directing your question to, and let's keep it short.
Thank you. My question is for Chris Papas.
I want to take you back to the water crisis. The water crisis has become a full-blown humanitarian crisis, particularly here in KZN.
But just, if I can just interrupt there, I just wait. Let's just wait for the crowd to quieten down on the other side so we can take that question. All right? If we'll just listen to the question quickly. So you said it's for Chris Papas. Just go again, please.
Correct. The water crisis has become a full-blown humanitarian crisis, particularly here in KZN. And closer to home in eThekwini, they've been unable to self-correct. We have a collapsing infrastructure network with daily outages in every region in eThekwini. Multiple factors contribute to this. We've got infrastructure that are run to failure, no preventative maintenance, shoddy workmanship, inferior quality materials, astronomical water losses that remain unchecked. We have millions of rands that are being plowed on tankers rather than getting water into the tap. We want to know, as the DA, how will you tackle this water crisis? How will you solve this water crisis that affects millions of people in eThekwini and KZN?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Inamandla Mabund. This question is directed to the leader of the ANC. 8 to 11 million unemployed people. The stats shows that. The ANC manifesto though says that only 2 million jobs they will create. So what will happen to the more than 6 million people? That's the first question. Then the second one is on the land question. Land is tunzi somuntu ubuzwe indawo yokuphumula. In the past 30 years, the ANC has failed to deliver land to our people. Less than 20% is back. Less than 20% of the land is back. 70% is in the hands of the minorities. Papas, what will you do, or will you give 70% people the land? Will you give the 70% of the people the land, particular Africans? Thanks.
Thank you. All right.
Bongiwe.
Right, Blaine, sibonge kakhulu baba. Ngizocela ukuthi nje kafushane uthi nje ukubuza wakho umbuzo.
Angithokoze kakhulu. Ngicela ukuchecka umbuzo wami kakhulukazi ubhekise kubaba uNtuli. What is the solution to the dying infrastructure like roads here in KwaZulu-Natal ebonakala iphetho MEC ka ANC ohlulekayo njobe imigwaqo yonakele kanje? The second question is a shortage of medicine in our hospital. What you will do in order to help our people? Bese kuzothi ke ogcina mphemba ngicela ukubuza ngoba siyabezwa bekhuluma ngokubuyisa umhlaba. Umntwana waphinda angena uqalile wayibuyisa umhlaba njoba sinengonyama act evikela umhlaba abantu abamnyama. Ikuphi okuzokwenza ukuqhubeka la kwagcina khona umntwana waphinda ngene ukuvikela umhlaba? Ngiyabonga.
Asibonga kakhulu baba, asibuye kuwena baba.
uNhlakanipho umlotshwa bengicela ukubhekisa umbuzo wami kwiMkhonto weSizwe Party ukuthi njengoba kuna infrastructure nje eyi problem la eMzansi specifically la kithi eKZN which is amanzi ugesi imigwaqo yini esingayi expecta njoba nizothatha nje after umhla 29.
Right, siyabonga kakhulu. Blaine, some of the questions, one gentleman who spoke before, he was talking about a shortage of medicine, but also the issue of land, saying that it is a big one, and some are saying, political parties are saying that they're going to be bringing back the land to the people. How then do they plan to do this? What are the IFP's thoughts on that? To the MK party, what are they going to do for the residents when it comes to the roads, the infrastructure, the housing, as well as jobs?
A number of your questions needs to be answered. Sakina on the floor, Bongiwe as well. We're going to get more as well. We're live on SABC News Channel 404. It's an important election, lots of issues, right? A wide variety of issues. So let's get to it. And among the stats that we heard is that there are about 31 political parties that will be contesting the national elections for the first time. One of it is the MK party, who's created waves, I guess, around the country. And one of the questions, Mr. Mbandra, was posed to you with regards to the issue of road infrastructure. Infrastructure very critical in this province. Your plans, if you're voted in.
Thank you. Maybe before I even answer that, let me just correct something here. My friend Papas was talking about the Guptas. Guptas came here with President Mandela, and then President Mbeki endorsed them. Now, if they're talking to Zuma, it's a sin. So I think we need to get that one corrected. And in terms of the load shedding, You have been talking about the electricity that will be supplied, but Kaelesha and Kukuletu, they've got problems. But let me then come back to the infrastructure.
Yeah.
The shacks or the settlements that are out there, we must find out exactly why are they there. Problem is that people are following the jobs in the urban areas, and then they go and build these shacks out there. So we as the MK party were saying that we want to develop the industry in the rural areas. That is why our president is emphasizing that we need to get Amakosi involved, who are actually the owners of the land. So we need to get them involved so that izimbiwa ezilaphayana zikwazi ukuthi siyisebenzise before we ship them out of the country. We must deal with them here and make sure that we process them here and then we sell them here instead of they go out and then they come back maybe 10 times more expensive than what is supposed to be here. And then in terms of the jobs, there's a lot of things that we have planned to do in terms of the jobs. Number one, if you look at the cities and the towns, including Gumgen, obviously, you'll find that there's a lot of people who are sleeping there. We call them with a funny name, which we call amaparas. And then why are those people there? Because we need to look at the cause. We mustn't just talk, because I can see they're fighting amongst themselves because they're in government or not in government. So that is why they're busy fighting. So what I'm saying, we need to build like a reformed places where we'll take all these amparas and then we put them there with the intention of not arresting them, but in terms of rebuilding their minds, so that they can become the people in the future, and then others will go home, others will work there because we'll get land from the land affairs, which will be developed in terms of agriculture, in terms of in terms of the industry, and then they will work there. They will also get education. They will get clinics. All the doctors that have been marching there because they don't have employment, they will be employed there. So that is what.
Thank you, Mr. Mbanjwa. Mr. Twala, I want to bring you in. Look, it all boils down to basic services, right? People just want the lights on when they switch it on and water running. That's what it boils down to. People don't have time to listen to technical jargon as to why this is not happening. What are the low-hanging fruits if you are in government in this province in order to sort those issues out? You, Mr. Twala, yeah. The low-hanging fruits with regards to fixing the main issues that are coming here is water, electricity.
No, thank you. I think this issue of water is the aging infrastructure that has been neglected by those who are in the commanding heights in the municipalities. I mean, from 1996, we had local government elections and also the local government to ensure that they roll out the plans into attending into the water infrastructure, but they leave it until it's dilapidated. Now we're saying let's fix the aging infrastructure and do away with water tankers. And there are certain dams here in KZN that are not owned by the government. For instance, go to Umkhanyakude. There is one man who is in charge of that dam, who is called that white man there in Chozini. We have Inanda Dam just here in eThekwini. What did the municipality of eThekwini do? Where's after the April floods? After those floods, the government of eThekwini is not responsive. They are only reactionaries. Today we are having sewer spillage in almost everywhere where you go in eThekwini. We have indawo here, Mjondolo ebizwa ngoLindela. Abantu bakithi, they don't have piped water. They don't have flushing toilets in their homesteads. But the government of the ANC never had any plans to ensure that they address those issues. Right. We as the EFF were saying, let's increase the state capacity, because we are only relying on private business and the tenders. Hence we're saying let's abolish tender system, because they leave this infrastructure to go down so that they are going to, behind the scenes, have people supplying services to our people through septic tanks and also water tankers.
Mr.
So
Fowler,
what's
thank you
it?
very much
Let's do
indeed.
away with it.
All right, Mr. Papas, there was two pertinent questions to you. One relates to water. The other one, if I heard the question correctly, relates to land. And if you would give, correct me if I'm wrong, 70% of the land back to the people. Your answers.
Thank you again for the questions. There is something that we have to correct, though. It is not correct to call our brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers, paras. The word para is short for parasites. So we have a member here calling our brothers and sisters on the streets because of a failed government, paras and parasites. Can we please correct that? These are future people. The second thing that I must correct is that we must always look for contradictions. We must always look for contradictions. My friend from the MK talks about using our resources. It was under your leader that Tegeta and Optimum sent all our coal overseas. So we must remember that. And
to the question of the land, sir.
I'd like to remind, I'm answering the water question now. In the city of Etegwini, water and sanitation is run by the EFF chairperson, portfolio chairperson. So when we talk about fixing the problem in Etegwini, we're talking about fixing EFF problems in terms of water and sanitation. But how do we fix water and sanitation? So the first thing is that people are making money off of suffering. People are making money off the endless water tankers, the millions and millions of rands that exist. We must end that and get water back in the taps. The second thing is that we want to establish a provincial infrastructure agency. Mr. Ntuli spoke about the various levels of government that have resources. Let's pool those resources together to stop the wastage and start to fix our taps. Another thing that we need to introduce is a grant to fix water-related infrastructure. So as a DA-led government, we will have a grant to help fix that for government. We currently have a water master plan that is sitting gathering dust on the shelf like many of the plans. Let us implement that water master plan that will seek to solve our problems. And the last thing is that the government is not very good at implementing. So let's work with the private sector to try and implement these projects. The land question.
Very quickly, sir. Very
quickly, the land question. So we have a government that says that it has the best interests of black people at heart. That's what you say, right? And here's a couple of reasons. The first thing is that the land claims court doesn't work. Things have been held up there under your government. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure that land claims are moving through the courts. The second thing is that we need to give up as much state land as possible to people who deserve it. The third thing is to give title to people. There are still people in RDP houses who are kicked out of their homes because they haven't got title. And the last thing on land, is that the current government spends more money on VIP security than they do on land reform. That tells you what is a priority. So a DA-led government would give up state land, we would make sure people have title, we would make sure that the land claims court is working, and we would ensure that more budget is allocated to the important task of land reform. Sebo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Papas. Mr. Ntuli, before Mr. Ntuli, to you.
Well, thank you. Well, on the issue of the infrastructure as the IFP, in fact, not only that we will be telling a dream that this is what we'll be doing, we governed this province. That is why we speak of more than 6,000 classrooms that were built. That is why we talk about the colleges that I've mentioned prior, and even the universities. Even the issue of ensuring that we have roads that allows people to access all the destinies, in particular that will empower people economically. When we are given an opportunity, I will be not responding because maybe he has not been to Nkandla. In Nkandla, there is no mayor who ever invested infrastructure like I did in Nkandla. People who were meeting under the trees, now they have the halls.
You know, one of the criticisms is what good is roads if they're riddled with potholes?
So, in fact, what we'll be doing as the IFP will ensure that we tar all the gravel roads in the rural areas and townships. We'll ensure that even those roads that are full of potholes, the potholes are properly fixed, not the way they are fixed today. And on the issue of the medications, we'll ensure not that we're talking about something that we'll be doing. When we're governing in clinics and hospitals, people were having access to proper medication, not Panado for every disease. When we are then given an opportunity back by the people of KwaZulu-Natal, we'll ensure that people have access to proper medication, which is specific for different sicknesses.
Right. All right, Mr. Ntuli, thank you very much indeed. Mr. Mtolo, with regards to, I think one of the questions to you was unemployment.
It's true that the Guptas came in our country while Mandela and Mbeki were the president. The difference is that they didn't steal with the Guptas. What Zuma did took our country and handing over back to the Guptas. Then he stole with the Guptas and raped our country and render our country useless. That is the difference. Where Zuma broke the neck of our country is where he allowed a private commercial jet of the Guptas to land in our military air base in Waterkloof. That was the end of it. That's the difference.
Then the issue of, carry on.
Then when it comes to water access, in KZN you need one thing. The municipalities that got a high access of water above 85% are municipalities that are run by the African National Congress. Where the IFP runs water, the water access is below 40%, at worst at 30%. Umzinyati, Zululand, Utugela, Amajuba, those are the worst. In fact, they are deteriorating under the IFP. Umshatuze, as we speak now, he's deteriorating under the IFP. This year, the IFP mayor celebrated a 9-year clean audit in Umshatuze. That 9-year clean audit was including 8 years of the ANC clean government after the mayors of the ANC.
All right, just finally, sir, with regards to the unemployment.
Then when it comes to jobs, there's a gentleman who asked me jobs. We are promising 2.5 million jobs because we say in our priorities, we're gonna industrialize our country, we're gonna reskill our people. Already, before even our people vote for us, Gauteng has provided 500,000 jobs of that 2.5 million. KZN, to listeners with the premier, they were launching 70,000 jobs. We are doing 570,000 jobs of the 2.5 million were promised before election.
All right, Mr. Ntuli, thank you very much indeed. We have to take a quick break. Okay, finish your last point. Finish your last point.
What is bad? What is bad about the question that was asked by Mr. Mapisa, the former mayor of Amakulu, who was fired because he was appointing every staff through nepotism. He was forcing his staff to employ his wives, his sisters. To ask a question about cadre deployment is so ingenious. Because Mr. Mapisa is not a mayor of Amakulu because he was exposed by the ANC for nepotism. His wife was appointed in Matageni, unqualified. We exposed her. He was fired. Now the same wife is employed in another municipality of the IFP without having been advertised the job.
All right, Mr. Ntuli, thank you very much indeed. It is no doubt, Sakina, heating up. Control, do we need to take a break or can we carry on? I just want to get a go ahead. All right, let's carry on, Sakina.
Okay.
Let's take a few more questions, get some answers.
Indeed, Blaine. So, as you said, it is heating up here, literally and figuratively, so to speak. And of course, we are coming to you from Tongaat. We are in KwaZulu-Natal on Elections 360. And I think what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick ad break, get everybody to get the singing out of their system somewhat, and we'll come back with more of your questions. back, and of course it's the KZN leg of our Elections 360 town hall debates. And this evening we are going to take questions, but just quickly, Blaine, you know, to add on something that you spoke about, the fact that the people simply want services. You used an analogy there saying that, you know, what good is a road if you can't drive on it? What good is a tap if there's no water coming out of it? The South African Human Rights Commission last year in September, they warned that they feared that there's a water supply disaster looming in several parts of KwaZulu-Natal. In that same report, the Commission also found that government and its water agencies were actually violating the rights of citizens in this province. Some of the mayors up there speaking, KZN municipalities are on average actually budgeting between 2 and 3%. This is for infrastructure maintenance, which is of course far below the 8% that the Treasury guidelines outline. And you look around and these are some of the chickens coming home to roost. But let's get back to the audience with their questions. Name one question and we go.
Igama umxoliswa kaNzimbomvu ilunga le-ANC. Umbuzo wami uqonde straight kunobhala wenhlangano enkulu KwaZulu-Natal nase South Africa ANC. Siyazi ukuthi nisebenze kanzima ukwenza isiqinisekiso ukuthi bonke abantu bayawathola amanzi. Lokho osokwenza ukuthi amadamu ahluleke ukusupply ngoba abanye babewakhele bona bodwa njengabamhlophe, and then manje amanzi asedingwa yiwona wonke umuntu ose South Africa. Uthola ukuthi inkinga seyikhona ke manje. Sifuna ukubuza ke nobhala ukuthi njenge-ANC yini enizoyenza ukwenza isiqiniseko ukuthi nilungisa amapipe amadala lawa aqhuma zonke izinsuku bese nandisa amadamu nokuthi amanzi njengoba sibona ukuthi kuneyinkinga zokuthi imfula iyasha, ikhona yini indlela eningayenza ukuthi ni purify ulwandle lukwazi ukuthi libe amanzi esingawasebenzisa ukuflasha kanye nokugeza? Ulowo mbuzo engiqondise kunobhala we-ANC.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Basanda Klaba from the Durban University of Technology. I was planning to direct my question to all the political leaders on the panel, but due to time, I'll address this to Mr. Tamintuli, who grabbed my attention by addressing the influence of the IFP in the academic sector. So, Mr. Tamintuli, how are you planning, how is the IFP planning to promote employment and promise the youth of South Africa that oh my God. Okay, how are they planning to promote employment by the use of education, and how is the IFP going to? Okay, pressure. Okay,
no
okay,
pressure.
Okay. I'll do this again. Mr. Tamintuli, how are you planning on addressing the issue on unemployment via the education system, as we are aware that a lot of students and academics are unemployed? So how are you going to use the 29th of May to give the youth hope that there will be employment in South Africa, be it the IFP takes power within the province or within the country?
Well, thank you so much.
Angibonga ithuba, igama uPatrick Wakandlovu. Umbuzo wami ngiwubhekise kuChris Pappas. Chris, njenge-candidate e-DA, a premier position la KwaZulu-Natal, kwi-manifesto yakho ukhulume ngendaba yokuthi uzodala amathuba awu 300,000. Sifuna ukwazi ukuthi lawo mathuba lawo uzokwenza kanjani ngoba kunabantu abaningi, especially i-youth engasebenzi, and also nabantu aba-over 40 abanawo amathuba, and also nama-graduate ahlezi engalitholi ithuba ehambise esemgwaqweni. Cela ukwazi ukuthi-ke uzokwenza kanjani lokho ukuze kutholakale imisebenzi e-permanent, not imisebenzi e-office job. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you for the opportunity. I am Utando Pumelele Makoba, a UKZN Research Master's Candidate in International Relations. My question is directed to the DA. Considering that The DA is unfortunately still considered that white party. So what is your level of confidence in reaching out to the KZN residents in terms of supporting the true development that they need? You have to speak to them to understand what they actually want. Today, the turnout is great, I will admit. It's quite diverse, but it is still considered that white party. So how will you be shaking off that reputation? Thank you.
Blaine?
All right, Bongiwe,
All
let's
right,
get
thank you
some
very
questions from
much.
you.
Blaine, so thatha imbuzo baba ngizocela ukuthi umbuzo wakho kube wodwa nje kuphela ukuthi sokwazi ukuthi sinikeze abantu abaningi emva kwakho ithuba.
Owami umbuzo ulula ngibingelele nje abalaleli ekhaya. Ubheke kumnumzana uMtolo unobhala weANC. Sibonile after 2004 eKZN kwakhiwa ibhedlela state of the art hospital. Bengase ngibala iBritsit ibhedlela eziningi ikole ezinhle ezivuliwe. Yini uhulumeni kaANC othe bufika la eKZN ngo2004 wakubona ukuthi ukushintsha. Sizokhumbula phambilini kuneqembu ade lingafuni ukuthi ugesi ungena umuzi nomuzi ngoba uthi uzoxhoshwa inkomo ezoxhoshwa wona. Uhulumeni kaANC ukwenze kanjani ukuthi umuzi nomuzi uthole ugesi?
No, thank you very much. I mean, he's talking about the hospitals without doctors. They have been able to employ doctors.
Ngizocela ukumela kancane. Ngizocela ukuthi mhlambe sehlise kancane emuva sizokwazi ukuthi simuze ukuthi uthini. Ngiyabonga.
Okay, no, thank you very much. I was actually saying he's talking about the hospitals that have failed to employ doctors in this country. But that's the story for another day, and I think maybe Councillor Ntuli can allude to that. My question to you, Sompisi, is that how are you going to deal with the lack of infrastructure, especially at our high school level? I mean, we've seen the collapse of the education system in this country, particularly in this province. So how are we going to make sure that you upgrade the infrastructure in schools, putting in your laboratories and so forth in the high schools? Thank you very much.
Okay, siyabonga. Ngizocela ukuthi ngikweqe nje kancane ngikhulume noSisi.
Sanibonani, mina nginombuzo owodwa nje. Lapha kubaba uthwala. Ukhongolose usikhohlisile thina eFraser ngiyosixolile kaMagalela thina eFraser asina ugesi for 2 years asina ma transformer asina lutho asina manzi into engicela ukuyazi ke lapha kubaba uthwala yena ukuthi usithembisa ukuthi kuzovotwa kanjani nge29 lezi zaMay masivota ukuthi asikakabi nawo ugesi sovota kanjani esikoleni esingenawo ugesi.
Ngiyabonga.
All right.
Ulindelani Mbatha. My first question will be directed.
Ngizocela umbuzo wakho ube wodwa nje kuphela. Ngiyabonga.
Okay. To Umpemba, we have a challenge of crime in the province. I just want to know now, what is it that the IFP will be doing to ensure that crime is dealt with? Amakosa ayabulawa in the province, and it seems like there is no plan in the current government. And also to Mr. Mtolo.
Ngicela umbuzo ube wodwa. Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Apologies about that. Isikhathi siyasibalekela bhuti wami. Blaine, one of the questions here is the community is asking how are they going to be voting if the transformer is not working and they're going to be voting at a school with no electricity.
All right. Bongi, thank you very much indeed. Due to time constraints, we're going to take last comments. We're going to give you each a minute. So please try to include as much of your answers to the audience as possible in your minute. Mr. Mtolo, let's start with you. Your minute starts now.
Thank you. Minister Senzo Mkhunu is building 2 dams, Umkomazi Dam that will cover 5 districts. It's going to build Stephen Dlamini Dam. Then eThekwini has appointed a contractor to deal with the northern works which cover this area, which was affected by flood. The southern works, which covers Makuta, Umlazi, those areas. And then that's what we are going to do. And then in terms of education, I think in KZN everybody knows that it is number 2 in terms of matric results. But what is also very bad is that the least district is King Cetshwayo, which is led by Mpemba, because municipalities of the ANC are helping schools to achieve in school results. In KZN, every day we are handing over one of the world-class.
Mr. Mtolo, thank you very much indeed. We have to cut you off now. Thank you, Mr. Mtolo. Mr. Ntuli, go ahead.
Well, no, thank you very much. But I have a question, though time will not allow. Why Minister Senzo Mkhunu is building dams now? After all 5 years they've been in government. Then When it comes to what was close, that the results, KZN is number 2, but is telling us that the ANC education district is the least one. That is their failure. I don't know what to do with such failure. And I must inform him that they refused. I set aside a budget of more than 2 million for the carer guidance for the children. They refused, the Department of Education refused to allow the municipality to come on board and assist them.
All right.
So, I don't know. And lastly, on the issue of the
Mr.
West...
Tuli, I have to cut you off. I'm so sorry. 1 minute is going to be running out of time. Mr. Papas, go ahead.
Thank you very much. It must be really hard to be an ANC supporter these days with having such confused leaders. One day they're singing Wenzenu Zuma, the next day they're It must be really difficult. So I want to answer the second question first, and that is the perception that the DA is only a white party, a majority white party. I think that there's a big difference between reality and what is actually on the ground. The DA is the most diverse party. We represent South Africans across the board. And it's always us who gets held against that measure to say you are not diverse enough or you are too diverse. There's not another political party sitting here that can say that they equally try to represent as many communities as possible. So if you're looking for the most diverse party, the Democratic Alliance is that party. But we must continue to build trust. We must continue to build trust in all communities and change that perception to build that rainbow nation that we envisage and that we want to take place. On jobs, how do we create jobs? Well, we fix the infrastructure. We make sure that there's water in the taps, that the roads are working, that there's electricity when we need it, and that we support small businesses to grow instead of
Mr.
giving
Papas,
tenders
thank you very much
to the same
indeed.
people
Thank you very
over
much
and over
indeed.
again.
Mr. Tola, go ahead.
No, thank you. I think first and foremost, let us deal with the fallacy that was leveled against the EFF that is still in the commanding heights and in the Committee of Human Settlement in eThekwini. I think that is far-fetched. It's not true. We must deal with this before it misleads the society in eThekwini at large. We, as the EFF, when the 1.5 billion was on the verge of being taken away from the coffers of this municipality due to redundant and incapacitated officials of eThekwini. We, the EFF, were in the forefront through our councillors to put pressure on the National Treasury to bring back that money so as to solve the issues of electricity in eThekwini, to solve the issues of sanitation in eThekwini, to solve the issues of infrastructure and the disaster management in eThekwini. We as the EFF were saying, if you don't have leaders who have a political will, who are only there.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. We've run out of time.
There's nothing that
Mr. Mbanjwa, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. The infrastructure is actually the one that is driving the economy of the country. And unfortunately, the ruling party at the moment is not doing justice into it, because if a road is going to be costing you 200 million rands, for example, and then it is built for, you pay 400 million rand, and then the other amount goes ngomlenze. So, but then the last thing is that we want to change the rules of the country. As we don't want to be using the Roman Dutch law, we want to use the African law. And secondly, we want to make sure that Amakosi, we want to make sure that Amakosi controls the land because they are the rightful landowners. And then we want to make sure that even the old people, we want to move them from 2,090 to 5,000 so that they can have a reasonable living, because
all right, Mr. Mbanjwa, thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much for your time. No doubt this conversation will continue. Thank you to all the leaders in our panel here tonight. Sakina, gotta go.
We gotta go. That's all the time we have for tonight's edition of Elections 360. It was fabulous having you with us, Bongi. And of course, this is the Hambanathi Community Hall here in Tongaat. And that was the KZN election, the town hall debate on Elections 360.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. It's, of course, a wrap.
That's it. I'll see you next week. We are in the Northwest Province. Poverty and unemployment in sharp focus. See you then.